Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are back for another United Daily Live. Apologies, it's a little bit later today. As I said, with everything going on now with Devils/Paddock, obviously I'm going to be very, very busy doing that and getting involved and getting stuck in and making sure we're back where we belong over there. But also, we're still going to keep the daily content coming. So even though United Daily wasn't at the usual time today, we are still going to have daily content on this channel, and you of course getting your daily video here today. Of course, we've got a Master Debaters coming up. That's coming up later in the week as well. I'm going to be in the studio with Joe and Jay, so we'll get one in person for the very first time. So make sure you're subscribing and hitting the notifications button for all the good videos that are coming your way. We've got loads of match day content coming up as well. Obviously with Manchester United against Aston Villa at Villa Park tomorrow night. We have of course got the watch along over on Devils channel, which is now Paddock of course. So make sure you're joining us for that. And of course we'll have my review on this channel, fan cams on Paddock, and loads more coming your way. So make sure you are keeping it locked, liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing. I can see loads of you already in the comments. We got Trapo, Edward, Sean, Ross, Jay Reed is in the comments, Peter, Yash, Jamie, Davio, Paul B, Habiba, Beam Players here, Lokesh, I can see loads here, Micah Smith, Bud the Red. So thank you very much for everyone getting involved and of course joining us on this video today. And we are of course reacting to some of the quotes that have come from today's press conference with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and that is the title of this video. Every game is a must win. Not only in the Premier League, you got to think the FA Cup now, we're in the semi-final stages. Of course, in the Europa League, when that restarts, every game's a must-win in there. Apart from the LSK Linz game, but who cares about that one? So, you know, every game now from now to the end of the campaign is a must-win for Manchester United if we want to end the season with a couple of trophies and Champions League football in the bag. So we need to make sure we are doing that, and we'll be going through all of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's quotes from the presser today. We've got an update on Jadon Sancho, as we always have, as it's been reported. He is excited over a potential move to Manchester United and playing alongside the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, Marcus Rashford, etc. We're looking at the latest news on Alexis Sanchez. Man United are not interested in extending the loan deal for next season for Alexis Sanchez. They're using the Europa League as leverage for a permanent deal to be made and to be done very, very quickly. So fingers crossed that one can get done, because we need to get rid of Alexis Sanchez. And someone that won't be getting rid of by Manchester United on loan, because there were rumours of him leaving on loan, is Daniel James. His agent, who is also Gareth Bale's agent, has come out and said that he is going nowhere and he's going to be a Manchester United player for the foreseeable future. So that's what's going on in relation to Manchester United today. And there's loads of other stories as well that we will be getting stuck into. Some interesting quotes on Axel Tuanzebe as well, which I like. Thank you very much to Smoke Drink Pop for the super chat. Hello from Southern California. Thank you very much for getting involved today. Now, Manchester United, as it stands, we stand wait, let me just check 1 second. I think it's 4 points from Chelsea, 5 points from Leicester, or 5 points from Leicester, 5 points from Chelsea, 4 points from Leicester. A victory for Manchester United takes us 1 point behind Leicester and of course 2 points behind Chelsea. It would mean if we won our remaining 4 games, one of those being against Leicester City, we would finish in the top 4 and we would be guaranteed Champions League football for next season. Of course, 5th spot could get Champions League football if Manchester City, their ban is upheld and they're not in the Champions League for the next season or the season after that. But you know, United win all their games and we are in the Champions League. We've put ourselves into a very good position, but it does make you feel a little bit nervous. And here are some of the quotes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, including that quote where he said, if you win every single one of your games, we are in the top 4. We cannot rely on any help from anyone else. We have to do it ourselves and go into next season. And I love that, because you know, you have to have this mentality that we're not going to get drop points from Leicester and Chelsea. Now, I actually think Leicester and Chelsea will drop points before the final day of the season. They've both got some games where, you know, you look at their games and you think, well, actually, they might not win that game. Chelsea have got Sheffield United in their next fixture. Sheffield United just got a good win against Wolves, which helped us out in terms of pushing them a little bit further away from us. Then they've got Norwich at home. That's probably 3 points. They've got us in the cup. Then after that, their last 2 games, Chelsea, they've got Liverpool away and Wolves at home. So you'd expect they're possibly going to drop points. 3 of the teams that they play are sitting in the top 7 of the league. So some tricky fixtures for Chelsea for the remainder of the season. So you'd like to think they would drop points. If they drop point, let's say they drew a game, that would mean, let me work it out. We could go level on points with them as well. We've got a better goal difference than them. So we need to be winning our games, and winning this next game against Aston Villa, it is a must. Leicester City, we know their fixtures. Let's have a look at their fixtures. They've got Bournemouth away, Sheffield United at home, Tottenham away, and then Manchester United at home. And again, you look at their fixtures and you think, well, actually, they might drop points somewhere along the way. Bournemouth's probably a given for them, although stranger things have happened. And Sheffield United, Tottenham United, they've got some difficult fixtures coming up. So United's fixtures are much more favourable, but still we're playing teams that are battling for all of the points. When you look at Aston Villa, the team that we're playing against tomorrow, Southampton, who looked very good against Manchester City, Crystal Palace away from home. Crystal Palace, they lost against Chelsea, but they very well could have got something out of that game. Then we've got that game against Chelsea before we play West Ham and Leicester. So whilst you look at our fixtures and think, bar that Leicester game, our fixtures are more favourable than Chelsea's and Leicester's, we've still got to do the job ourselves. And if we do, we know we're going to get Champions League football, and maybe even better than that, because I think the teams above us will drop points. So I'm glad Ollie's using the press conference as a rallying cry to the players, as an opportunity to refocus them. What you love as well is that we're no longer relying on one player or 2 players to deliver. We've got a team that's delivering on a number of positions. You got Rashford, who's now back in the goal, so hopefully he's feeling confident, can go forward. Mason Greenwood's firing, Martial, Bruno, Pogba's playing well. So you're looking around the team and you're thinking players are playing well in different positions, so we should be able to get the results. But nevertheless, it's good to hear that coming from the manager too. More quotes to come from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from that press conference is as follows. And we got John Neild. It was great to see John and Alex earlier on today, and you can check out McKola and House and Uncensored after we finish here over on Paddock. But the quotes from Ollie, which were really interesting, a few of them. They've talking about Aston Villa, shown since the lockdown they can handle their own. They've been tight. The games they've had, they've worked in their shape. Their counters are one of the most powerful ones in their league. They spring quickly and they have set plays. I think the last game they caused us some problems. Both Grealish off the left and Ghazi on the right. He scored a fantastic goal, Grealish. There's been loads said about him, and we need to be aware of him. If he's off the left, middle or right, he attracts players to him. But there's not just one player in that Villa team. There are a lot of them. And then I'm talking about Manchester United. There aren't many Manchester United players that haven't played in the last 2 weeks. So many faces. They all know they're fit, available and valued, important for us. If it's coming on for half an hour or 45 minutes, it's not an issue. He said about McTominay, Scott McTominay is still a young boy, 7 or 8 years younger than Nemanja Matic. Nemanja's been on record as saying how much he can see himself in Scott. They can bounce off each other. Maybe he's hinting at, and we've seen it in my predicted 11, maybe he's hinting at McTominay coming in for Matic. I'm hoping Matic has been in McTominay's ear. McTominay's got all the attributes to be a very, very good holding midfielder. We just need that little bit of push and that little bit of guidance and experience in his ear, and I think Nemanja Matic can provide that. Bryce, thank you very much for the super chat. He says Fosu Mensah centre back, right back or CDM. I saw him more as a central defensive midfielder in his, as he was coming through. He's obviously had a lot of injuries. Before his injuries, he was playing at right back. So you're looking at those 2 positions. I personally don't fancy him at centre back, although in 3 centre halves, you could possibly play him in a 3 centre halves, and I don't think he'd stand out too badly. So yeah, but I do think CDM will right back for Timbo if he does come back into the mix. We already had that quote in relation to winning every game, but he also gave us some quotes on Nathan Ake. Now you remember, it seemed like Ollie had gone up to Nathan Ake and said something after the game, And he said about Nathan Ake, I've got 7 centre-backs. I don't know where those rumours have come from. We're fine. So it looks like maybe he's not looking at signing a centre-back. Talking about Bruno, he said, I think it's gone both ways in terms of his confidence. Bruno has come into the club, seeing how many good players there are at MUFC, and we've helped him with his attributes as well. And it's been a good little relationship which is blossoming. He can also feel we help him improve. He's come in and lifted everyone, and it's been a very, very good start so far. A funny one was, as a footballer, you can't just pick out confidence from the fridge. You have to have it every day in training, and results matter. And it really looks like we've got a competitive team at the moment. 16 games unbeaten. Everyone seems to be challenging each other. The manager seems to be challenging them as well. Whilst he's also talking very positively about them in the press and in the public, he's also challenging them on every single opportunity that he gets. And we need to see that. We need to see the players stepping up, because whilst we are 16 games unbeaten, and that's fantastic, we're scoring goals, this isn't where we want to be. We want to be pushing up. We want to be challenging for the trophies. So we need to keep pushing on. Now, we also had the Alexis Sanchez stuff. Now, I'll get some of your comments in a bit on everything that we've been discussing. Alexis Sanchez, now, Sport Witness. Thank you to Sport Witness for getting this one. It come from Gazzetta dello Sporto. United aren't ready to negotiate with Inter Milan on the basis of another loan for Alexis Sanchez, and United want a definitive transfer. Now, if you remember, we extended his loan deal to the end of the current domestic campaign. That means he will not be available for them, and that's the same with Chris Smalling to Roma for the Europa League campaign. But we're now, hoping, United are, that they can get the money in for those players, and they can use the Europa League as leverage, because the transfer window will be open. Obviously, those teams will still hold the player's registration, so it'd be like, signing the player up and and then extend their loan registration. But United are using that, and I think that's clever. We're seeing Alexis Sanchez now being selected for Inter Milan. Lautaro Martinez is being linked with the move away. Are they going to look to replace him with Alexis? I'd love him to. I don't care whether that's right or wrong or whatever from an Inter Milan perspective, but I'd love them to keep Alexis Sanchez on a permanent. We need to get rid of him. We really do. So I'd be all for that. And I'm glad United are being a little bit sensible in terms of, dealing with clubs. Andy Mitten had an interesting one on the podcast, saying Juventus were prepared to offer Mason Greenwood life-changing amounts of money last year. Mason Greenwood obviously opting to stay at Manchester United. He also said on that podcast that Tuanzebe is a player Solskjaer really likes. There are people at United who think he's good enough to be absolute top class, Ferdinand class, Vidic class. And I've been disappointed for Axel Tuanzebe this season, because you look at him, he had a massive chance. He came from Villa, where he had a very good loan spell, and he came back to United looking to take an opportunity. He played in a couple of games, was going to get his opportunity to play against Liverpool, got injured, has been rarely seen since, and that's a massive disappointment, because these kind of things can really damage a young player's opportunities at a club. We could potentially sign a centre half in the transfer window. What does that mean for Axel Tuanzebe then? So you look at that and you think, right, the fact that Solskjaer and the club and people love him, that's great news, because it means that he's probably going to get another chance again. Whether he's going to have to go out on loan and come back and get another chance after playing himself into form elsewhere remains to be seen, because, look, Harry Maguire's clearly going to be first choice as the captain. Are we going to be signing another one? If not, you've got Lindelof, Bailly, Tuanzebe. Is he going to get enough game time? I think he could challenge, and I thought he could challenge Lindelof and Bailly, but so far we haven't seen that. So we're in a delicate situation with Axel Tuanzebe's career, where we have to treat it properly, because he needs to get football and he needs to get minutes. But hopefully he can do that at Manchester United, because massively talented player. IFAB have also extended the 5-sub rule for the entirety of the 2021 season. I don't get why the drinks break thing's still going on. It's pissing down my brain in some games, and teams are having drinks breaks. I don't get it. I understand if it's hot and stuff. club should have the option to just say, nah, we'll play on. But it doesn't look like that's happening. Now, Andy Mitten was also discussing Jadon Sancho. Now, we've heard he's excited to be joining Manchester United from the Mirror. And he wants to join Manchester United, and he's looking forward to teaming up with, all the good players that we do have at the moment, which is, it's been a long time since we could say that. And Andy Mitten had an update saying, on that deadline, do you remember the deadline, August the 10th? He said, I think if a bid went in for Sancho on August the 11th, it wouldn't be too problematic. I can see what Dortmund are trying to do, getting the media to do some of their bidding. They nor MUFC can control this market. Now remember what I was saying, we're seeing bidding by Manchester United and Dortmund in the media. Seemingly, you got Sky and all these different people coming out with different stories, build and all that. It looks like they're both doing their bidding in the media. Dortmund want an auction situation, he carried on. Jadon Sancho, where it's United, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Barca, Madrid and PSG, people close to the situation say that is just not happening. PSG don't look interested. Madrid, Barca, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, none of them look interested. It's just United that are in for him at the moment, it looks like. Crazy stuff. But could well work in our favour, and we could end up getting him at a pretty good price. Interesting stat ahead of United's game from Opta. Martial is 1 goal away from becoming the 10th Manchester United player to score 50 Premier League goals for United, and the second Frenchman to do it behind Eric Cantona. What a man. Anthony Martial 1 away from 50 Premier League goals for the club. And United could also become the first team in Premier League history to win 4 straight Premier League games with a margin of 3 goals or more if we win this game against Aston Villa 3-0 or 4-1 or something like that. Obviously the last 2 games have been 3-0, 5-2. Can we do 3-0 or more against Aston Villa? I know we've already had the preview and you can go and check that out, and there's also another preview on Paddock as well. But make sure you're getting your predictions in ahead of that Villa game. Do you think we'll be breaking that record? We have been discussing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's quote ahead of the press conference, where he said if we win every single one of our games, we're in the top 4. We cannot rely on help from everyone. A rallying cry to the boys. If we win all of our games, we are in the Champions League next season. We've got ourselves into a great position, but we need to carry on and we need to see it through. And if we win all of our games between now and the end of the season, we'll end up with 2 trophies as well, which isn't too bad a place to be in. The FA Cup's going to be difficult, so is the Europa League, but we've got ourselves into a position and nobody would want to come up against Manchester United at this moment in time. That's for sure. Guys, get hitting that like button, get commenting, get sharing, get subscribing, get super chatting if you fancy it, and get joining AdamMcKola TV. We're trying to hit 200 members by the end of August. Now we've slowed down a little bit. We're on or around 108, 109, but get joining and help us push closer to that target of 200. The latest members video went up yesterday as well. So that's June's you can get, May's and April's if you join now, and then you're going to get July's at the end of this month as well. And there's going to be a members only live stream towards the end of the month too, on one of the weekends. Probably not the final weekend of the month, because that's when you get the exclusive video. So probably the weekend before that we'll have the exclusive members live stream. So make sure you're there for that and you're joining for that. Hit that like button. Let's do it on this day, seeing as we've got to that time. Let me have a little drink. 1 sec. Lewis, thank you very much for your super chat. Love the vids, mate. He says thank you very much. Thank you for your support, guys. Right, we got the On This Day book out. What's the date? The 8th of July. Oh, this is a good one. On this day in 1991, so I was 2 years old at this point, David Beckham signed for Manchester United. He was born at Whipps Cross Hospital in North London to Mum Sandra and Dad Ted, who are Man United fans and attend Old Trafford matches. Their offspring gets the United bug and impresses on residential courses at the Bobby Charlton Soccer Academy. It all leads to the Reds legend becoming a global superstar known for his looks, wife, family and ambassadorial roles as much as his football. But how good of a footballer he was. And on this day in 1991, 29 years ago, David Beckham signed for Manchester United. Signed schoolboy terms for the club. What a day. What a day in history. David Beckham. What a legend. There you go. Right, let us know your thoughts. Any score predictions? Someone put 3-1. Ross Murphy put 3-1. 4-0 says the champion. Thinks Mason's going to get another brace. Mason's on 8 goals as well. In terms of youngest players in the Premier League. In their, under 18. And he's absolutely killing it for starters. But he is 2 goals away from Michael Owen's record of 10. Michael Owen's record's 18, so he's not 2 goals away from that. He's 2 goals away from Robbie Fowler, who's on 10. He's 1 goal away from Wayne Rooney, who's got 9. He won't get Owen's record of 18 unless he goes on an absolute mad one. But I reckon he'll get Robbie Fowler's and sit second in the list. And that's not bad company to keep, is it? Owen, Fowler and Wayne Rooney. Scousers, all of them. Mason Greenwood be the only mank. Sahil Bedi thinks it's going to be 4-0 with Bruno, Pogba and Marshall grabbing a brace. Bud the Red thinks 5-0. Reedy thinks 4-1. Rebecca thinks 3-1. Runash thinks 3-1. I Am King thinks we need to raid AC Milan for their defender. That's not even a prediction, that ain't. Vishal thinks 2-0. Martial to grab his 50th. Mikey Smith thinks 2-1. Bean Player thinks 5-1. The Blur would like to know how many minutes these all scored compared to Mason. Yeah, that's a good point, to be fair. I'd love to check that out. Maybe that's something I can do when the end of the season comes and Greenwood's got one of the records. But yeah, that's an interesting point. How you lot doing anyway? What's going on? Tomorrow it's match day, so like I said, different plan. There's not going to be a watch along on AdamMcKola TV. You are going to have a review after the game, and then you're going to have Aftermath live straight after the game. You're going to get a United Daily at 12 o'clock tomorrow as well. So make sure you're keeping it locked for all of that, which is coming up on AdamMcKola TV. So the watch along is going to be even better. It's going to be again on Paddock, which is Devils, but it's now Paddock. So make sure you're joining us there for that one. You're going to have me, Steve, Jay and Joel on that. It's going to be absolutely epic. The best watch along about. So make sure you're joining us for that. And then we'll have a review up on my channel too. We'll have fan cams over on Paddock as well. So plenty more coming up. Anyway guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you're keeping it locked. You're liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. I'm going to get out of here now because I've literally run out of things to say. But cheers for tuning in. I'm going to get out of here. You lot have been legends. In a bit.